Here is a wild Mr. Pegs in his natural habitat. His ears are particularly sensitive to the howl of Slovenian techno music.
Why do you read?
Why do I read? Well, the best way I can do that is give you an example of what I've been doing this summer and reading. And as you know, there was a vote earlier this year for us to leave the European Union. And this is interesting because this is a Slovenian group who I know who actually predicted this in some kind of strange pop music song a couple of years ago, that this was going to happen. Which are following the history of a Slovenian family over about 100 years. And that book finishes with the end of the First World War and the breakup of Austria. So I'm kind of looking at what's going on in the world, looking at politics of the day, and then looking back at the history of Europe, because I kind of research the nationalism of the different nations of Austria-Hungary and the breakup of the empire itself. So, in a nutshell, why reading is so important for me is because I can learn so much about the world and experience about what's happened in the past, but also maybe understand better about what's happening today and about the future. And then I can find places to go that I've read about and go and explore and get a feel for it.
What's your favourite book?
Actually, I must say this is my absolute favourite book, and it's the Radetzky March in English by Josef Goode. It's the only book by Josef Goode that's ever been translated into English.
How often do you read?
Every possible moment given to me, every single day. If it's just 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, when I wake up in the morning, when I go to bed, I carry books around with me all the time, so even if I just stop for a coffee somewhere in a cafe, I read my book. If I'm waiting at the doctor's surgery, I have a book with me that I read. If I'm sat in class, I read. The only time I can't really read is when I'm cycling.
We wanted to find Miss Astray so we could ask her some questions. Everybody knows you can find her in the dark room taking a nap at break times.
Hi, Miss Astray.
Hello?
What's your favourite book?
Well, at the moment I'm reading this. Okay, it's not my favorite, but I like Latin American literature. So Isabel Allende is a very good storyteller, and this is what I'm reading at the moment.
What do you feel like when you read?
I love it. It's really interesting. I like the Latin Americans because they take me to other worlds. It's very interesting. It's very beautiful, but at the same time it's a little bit political and it's a little bit social as well. So it's very interesting. I like it.
Where does reading take you?
To Latin America, Cuba, Mexico, Colombia, and to North America. It's very interesting. I like traveling, and that's why I like reading as well.
Unfortunately, it was too hard to find willing subjects.
So instead we kidnapped some of our friends. Why do you read?
Well, because I find it fun to read sometimes, especially when it's interesting.
Because it's enjoyable and you learn new things.
I guess you just get to hear and see so much without actually having to do anything.
Well, sometimes it you don't really feel time passing, you know? I mean, if you're reading, you don't really think about it. I mean, when I start reading a book, well, it'll take me a little while to get into it, but once you get the flow, you kind of just read and you're just in the story.
Because I enjoy being in a different world that isn't real.
Because I enjoy feeling like I'm somewhere else and immersing myself.
I read sometimes pass time or just because I want to. I mean, it helps me sometimes get my mind cleared or in general think.
How do you feel when you read?
Happy, but it depends whether the book's sad or not, because I will cry if it's an upsetting book.
That's an interesting question. I don't really know. I just kind of get lost in the book or just think about it.
I feel like I'm kind of almost a different person because you can kind of put yourself in the position of different people.
Well, you don't really feel anything because if you get into the book, you're just fully immersed into the story.
We heard some strange noises coming from the crazy science teacher's room, Mr. Adams, so we decided to check it out.
Oh, hello.
That's safe.
No, it's terrible. So, no, hopeless. You caught me. How can I help you?
We'd like to ask you some questions
About this?
about reading.
Reading. Lovely. Where would you like to sit?
Where does reading take you?
All kinds of places. Into space, because I read a lot of science fiction. Also read a lot of biographies. Cycling biographies, astronaut biographies. I get to live their lives a little bit. I get to see what they're thinking, and it's really inspiring, and you get to see how people who've done great things think, and that's really, really exciting all the time. So yeah.
Get on, get on, get on, get back to bed, get on!
We wanted to capture a rare Miss G, but it looked like Ben, Tyler and Lara were in for a fitness class instead.
Why do you read?
Why do I read? Well, I read because, not just because I like reading, but because it gives me a chance to get out of the position I'm in at the moment. So, say I'm sitting in my classroom at the desk, I really want to be outside. I might pick up a book so I can get out and explore different places and new experiences and new countries. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's basically it.
Where does reading take you?
Not another question. Reading can take me anywhere. So, for example, I was reading the other day a Joe Simpson book, and I managed to climb Everest just by reading that. So I can go anywhere I like with the book.
What's your favourite book and why?
My favourite book changes quite a lot, but the one at the moment is called Perfume by Patrick Süskind, and that takes me to 16th century Paris, where smells are really important. Anyway, it's not the time. I can't waste my time talking to you lot. I'm going to be off.